We're live.
I should be sitting on this. It's all right. I did it much better.
Hey, everybody. As y'all join.
Look thinner on
Hello, hello.
in real life.
Hi,
About 3
Chris.
degrees out of 180. It's amazing. They
The
say,
beginning is my
oh my
favorite
God,
part.
you look thinner.
Okay,
on
so
camera than real life. And I go, yeah, that's great, I
So
think.
these are our angles, I think.
I know, I get it. I'm just getting excited. I like it.
I swear
I
when
think
we
I'm
say
supposed to be
don't
the other
laugh
side.
at
It doesn't
anything
matter.
in
I can't
Periscope.
worry about it.
Hey, everybody. Hey. Sorry, y'all. Okay, so I swear I won't laugh at the beginning of one of these. Anyway, it's Lisa Vanness here, and I am introducing two of my favorite pen people. Brad, who's the king of modern pens, and Susie, who's the queen of vintage pens at pen shows. And they're together. They haven't been together on a Periscope before. And somebody says they like their pen from you, but I don't know who it was.
Good.
And somebody else says pinch Brad's cheeks.
I'm
So,
rosy. I can feel
Stoner Man 33.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's
so
74
guys-
degrees in this hotel. I wonder.
This is we're at the Chicago Pen Show, and
It's 20 miles northwest of O'Hare. Gotta tell them something.
20
As the crow flies.
as the crow
Yeah.
flies.
Yeah. Solid
With a
hour.
little construction thrown in,
Yeah.
yes.
Solid hour. by
Yay!
far.
Somebody's coming to see us tomorrow. We'll be in the atrium. Susie will be in the big room, and you'll know what that means when you get here.
61.8 ratio. 61.
I think enough people have joined that we could go ahead and get started.
Want to be above 55. It gets
And they're not. They're not.
All right.
They learned a lot.
Hey, whoever's coming on Saturday, Critter. See you tomorrow.
Christina Ritter.
Christine Ritter.
All right.
Okay. I'm gonna repeat that. Okay.
All right.
So go ahead.
Yeah, so I want to take a minute to thank you for doing this. And we get to talk a lot at pen shows, but I never get to like really sit and pick your brain. I get to hear your stories, and I get to learn a lot of stuff from you. But there's a few specific things I want to know.
Right.
I want to know how you got started doing this whole pen show thing. How did you get into fountain pens and decide, hey, I'm going to go do a pen show, and now all of a sudden you're doing 25 of them a year?
Right.
How did this happen?
Okay. Well, I'm going to set my little thing. Don't laugh. Oh, damn. I need my...
I've got it here.
I'm so embarrassed.
We've got
Anna's
you on
got
clock.
it. She's
I
got
I
it.
don't need a clock.
I want to clear it 3 minutes.
Okay.
All right?
No problem.
I wandered into a pen store, and I tried a pen and made my writing look marvelous. So I bought it. It was an italic. And I wrote checks for everything in those days. And all of a sudden people would say, oh my God, your writing is so beautiful, I'm never going to cash it. Well, even when it's $2, they always cash it. But the fact that I was hearing it that often, I knew was significant. And I said, no, it's not me, it's the pen. Here, try it. And most of them would do well. And this was a pen that, instead of coming to a point, which will come up later also, is a square nib, right? What that means is it gives you thick vertical lines and horizontal skinny lines. So it gives your writing thick and thin for free without any effort. All right. So then I dropped it. And I didn't know how to fix it, on the nib, of course. And I knew it was a screw-in nib assembly like an Esterbrook. So I went back to the store. I said, I want another one of these. And they said, oh dear, Parker doesn't want to sell those odd nibs in stores. I'm thinking, well, where do they want to sell them? So they said I had to write to the factory, which I live in Milwaukee, it was like 70 miles away. And I wrote this painfully long letter saying I loved it, but they were being hard to do business with. And I got a wonderful, long typewritten letter back, giving me everything I wanted for free and more, but saying there's no call for square nibs or nibs, italic nibs in the United States. So, but once you found out about it, we'll let you have one. I mean, you know, and he did much more than that. And at the end, however, he still made me insecure, because he said, we'll always take care of our own. I don't know if that meant because I was a Parker person or because I was Wisconsin. But I thought, gee, he's being so nice, but he's still being hard to do business with. So maybe they won't always be able to take care of me. So I was not a collector. By then I believed you have one pen till something happens and you get another pen, all right, or get it fixed. So something clicked or snapped, and I started going to slightly dusty office supply stores where I knew they had stuff for a long time. and coaxing them to sort of let me go in the back room or rummaging around in the drawer, because the stuff wasn't out. It was never out. It was like an accessory. And going to jewelry stores where you wanted to make eye contact with a nice older lady named Edna, let the guy go in front of you who's getting his watch battery replaced. God forbid, don't go at Christmas. Anyway, so I bought every single Parker 45 italic nib I could find, and why discriminate? Right oblique, left oblique, because those are really italics with a different spin. All right. And I had about 150, and something happened that I made an exception. What was the exception, Susan? Now you can start the clock again. And the exception was, I bought another pen that wasn't an italic, but it was only $1, and it was a Parker, it was new old stock. Well, I'd already escalated, but you don't realize that till later. Finally, I had about now 15 pens. I'm not a collector, right? And I ran into somebody at a pen store who said, do you want to trade pens? So he came over to my house and we traded pens, and I realized that that was fun, that I liked the action. And he was really nice. He said I should go to a pen show, and I thought, I couldn't frame it. It didn't make sense to me. So finally, I went to be polite. And at the first pen show, I went with some spares. And if there was something you had that I liked, I'd say, well, is there anything here that you want? And at the end of that show, and they were very informal. This was at the Washington Park racetrack in Illinois on Sundays, because the guy who was the CFO of the racetrack, no racing on Sundays in the state of Illinois, just could do this. He could invite his friends or pen people he knew to come to the clubhouse on Sunday. And there's still guys counting money downstairs. It was amazing. But anyway, so it was very informal. And at the end of that period, somebody said, well, I don't have anything to trade you, but I'll give you $35 for that. And I'm thinking, oh, okay. That was like a new concept. So then I had to go to another show, because every time I went, I learned a lot more. And I thought of it differently. But it was always the Chicago show.
Sure.
And then as the years went on, it expanded.
So your first show was the Chicago show?
Absolutely, at the Hawthorne, Washington Park racetrack by Michael Fultz.
Do you consider this your home show?
I do, and it's one of the, it's just about the only show I drive to, but my goodness, it's 69 miles.
So how did the, okay, I'm gonna go around Illinois and, go hang out on Sundays and trade pens, and someone's going to buy a few pens, to all of a sudden you're traveling around the country.
Right, well.
Finding other shows to sell at.
Well, it was twice a year, the Chicago show. And one time he said, well, we're not going to have our show in September. Instead, we want you to go, if you want to go somewhere, in September, to the New Jersey show. And that was started by Stuart and Michelle Fischler. And Stuart Schneider, I guess. Anyway, so I thought, well, what the heck. So I was able to combine it with something with work. And so I flew in Friday night. And son of a gun, there are all these people here Friday night. And they're trading pens. And I think, well, shoot. So the next time Chicago came around, 6 months later, I went Friday night. Why go Sunday? There's something, there's a by then it was in a hotel. And so, and I'd come back Monday. So it was expanding, and I was expanding too.
So feel free to hit me when I ask this question.
No.
But what year is this? What time
No. I used to lie about it, but I don't anymore. The first show I went to was in '83, I believe.
I'm just trying to get a time.
No, and it makes sense. And so up until about 1990, I'd take one table and it would be filled, and it was just the size of this table. Mm-hmm. It'd be filled entirely with pens. Nothing was priced, nothing was segregated or put into groups. Mm-hmm. And finally, one year at DC, a guy said to me, 3 people in the same half hour said virtually the same thing, and that was, hi, I don't collect pens, I just have 12. And I'm looking for something to write with. Well, again, you could make fun of that. But I realized what they were saying was, I'm a user. I'm not a collector. I mean, that isn't the most, I am, but that isn't the most important thing. So, show me something interesting. And I thought, man, that was what turned me on. It was an italic. It wasn't a medium or a fine. And yet, where am I here? I'm here with this table. Nothing is marked as to the nib grade. Nothing's priced. They'll go, do you have any, oh, nobody even asked, do you have any italics? But do you have any broads? That was the, Or does this work? And I'd have to take about 10 seconds to go, well, now let me see. And I take, oh, okay, here's the deal. The sack is out. All you need to do, and I'd explain, and their eyes would glaze over. They wanted instant gratification. I thought, shoot. So I was lucky enough, I ran in the kitchen, I got a room service card. And I could get 2 people sitting off to the side, getting them out of the way, because if you pass my table, you go step, and you're gone. And you can only get maybe 3 people in front of the table, and people give up because they have too much to do. So I could get them out of the way, they could try pens, and it took a little longer, but it let them do what they needed to do, and it had served me, and I realized, so that was the beginning of a new phase. Can we start the clock in?
Yeah.
Tell you the new phase?
Yes. Do.
Well, even in retrospect, it was real sudden. All of a sudden it kicked in. From then on, I took 3 tables, so I had more linear space. Secondly, I started segregating things. I didn't care if it was new or old. What I cared about is, these are the mediums and fines, okay. These are the mainly non-fountain pens, and here is everything but, the extremes. So broad, extremely fine, going down to needle, italics,
That's a good question.
and flexibles.
So
Can you see it?
now you have, like when we go to shows now,
Right.
we see Susan's setup.
Yes.
And it's very, every show you go to that Susan's at, it's the same setup, which is good.
Well, I've changed it a little in recent, but but go ahead.
In general.
Yes, yes.
So how do you have a very specific style of pen that you sell in general terms? What makes you choose the pens that you have out that you're selling?
Well, here's the thing. Most things, whether it's a fountain pen, a pencil, a ballpoint, anything, it comes to a point, it writes the same way in all directions. And most fountain pens will write the same, very, very forgiving. Sort of like the person who goes, what movie do you want to go to? Oh, I don't care. I don't have any opinion. After about 6 times that gets boring. What restaurant do you want to go to? Oh, I don't care. I never have an opinion. All right. They're so forgiving. They don't really give any useful feedback. There are many people who do just fine without using a fountain pen. So if I wanted to get somebody started, this all ties in using a fountain pen when they weren't before, the main reason to use one is if it can give you a quality of line you can't get any other way. And guess what? That's the italic more than anything else. I have this feeling that people go to pen stores and say, hi, I want to get a pen for my fill in the blank, wife, husband, girlfriend, daughter, son. What do you recommend? And I can see the clerk going, well, most people buy. Well, you don't give a damn about what most people buy. The question was, what do you recommend? But no, she goes, most people buy medium or fine. What's your favorite color, dear? Now, color in pens is dynamite. Don't get me wrong, terrific. But the clerk jumped over the wonderful opportunity to get somebody really, really hooked. Anybody can buy something because it's pretty. But if a pen serves you, and once you find the right italic, it will spend the rest of its life making you look good. So number one, what I sell in what I call my living pens category, the pens that give you feedback, is the italic is the most important for almost everyone as a pen, whether you do cursive, and guess what? It loves printing. Flexibles are lovely. Flexibles are the thing that everybody wants to try, and that's fine. The flexibles want all curves all the time. Last part on that answer. And the third thing I'm very passionate about is needle grade. And that gets about, we don't sell extra fines, they're too scratchy. Well, the only point in writing with something really, really fine is if you're going to write really, really fine.
Mm-hmm.
If you write normal scale, he doesn't like it, and you won't either. Different pens for different purposes. And there's so many, it's like having people come to you who say, I'm so ugly, I'm so homely, and they're really gorgeous. But they're wearing this horrible little outfit, it's the most terrible color for them. The padding is all wrong in the jacket, the length, and you're thinking, honey, I can take care. And you do the right thing and they're absolutely gorgeous. That's the way the right pen is. It can make it's so the pen that makes a difference, and that is not usually a round bowl. It's usually, and of course I'll sell people medium and fine, and I'll let them try it loaded first. But when you have a pen that really makes a huge difference, it should be so you are almost physically uncomfortable when you intended to have it with you, and you don't. We're not even going to talk about losing it.
So you alluded to it just a second ago about having all your pens set up. All your pens are inked. You're ready for people to come try it. When did you start doing that, and how important has that been for you?
It's very important. First I did it selectively, which is a problem because they'll have 3 pens that are loaded, and then they naturally think the next 3 are loaded, and then you have to take the time to load those, and it sort of interrupts the flow. So we said in the trays that are the extremes, everything but medium and fine, we load them. And then we have the back tray, so that's about 150. The mediums and fines we don't load in advance, but anybody who wants to try the pen, we will load it for them. And I won't let them try, for example, a 51 or a Vacuumatic without being able to try it loaded, because it can write so much differently than it appears. And I say everything that works and all of that, it's one more fail-safe. I'd rather prove my error right at the table. I have to go, oh, excuse me, no, we're going to take that, has to go into sick bay. Much better to do
that's
that.
Good. I've seen you do that. Yeah.
And you have, okay, and that they've got to be happy. It has to make sense to them. Just because people are newer to pens, it doesn't mean they're new to life. They know a lot about a lot of things, and if something seems funny to them, they're usually right.
Mm-hmm. So one of the questions we got on Periscope is you talk a lot about italics. And
yes.
That's my favorite.
Right.
Probably your favorite.
Oh.
Do you compare those to stubs at all? Is that a different category completely?
Yes.
Or is there a fight between those two?
No, it's not a fight. It's just that I think of stubs as being dumbed down.
Mm-hmm.
I call it fraidy cat italics.
Right.
Oh, I'm afraid he's going to have trouble writing with it. I'm going to round it off and all of this.
Yeah.
There are so many variables in how a pen will work for you that's an italic. You need to try a lot of them loaded, and you'll know some you'll get along with even if no matter how sharp it is, and others it's like dancing with somebody. Some people you never want to dance with again. Others, every time you dance together, it gets better. That kind of relates to feedback. You'll dance one way with somebody who's 6 feet tall, 25 years old, a model, and another one with somebody who's 4 feet tall, 84 years old, and has osteoporosis. And that just relates to where your arms come out of your body, respectively. There's a lot of things that make a difference, and there's no substitute for trying a pen and writing stuff. And this matters so much. Writing stuff you care about. Don't write something mechanical like, Susan said this is a nice pen. Susan said, no.
You said that from the day I met you, when I didn't know who you are, to today.
No, okay.
I'm saying that's important to you, right? To use it the way you intend to use it, not to write some quick brown fox nonsense.
Oh, and I hate that. It's a typing test to see your mechanical ability to hit the keys the same way. But your name is a problem too, and it's a strong impulse. God, I know. I'll grind a nib and I'll go, Susan, oh God, that's genius. And then I'm going to write a guy a check. He's not called Susan. I go, Fred Smith, 95. Oh dear, it needs more work. Just getting into the act of something that seems so mundane, but I have to be true to that. You got to spell Smith right. It's 95, not 93. It makes you more honest when you're arguing. My favorite story, the physicist who said, Hi, I'm a physicist. All I do is write formulas. I want to find italic to write formulas. So I said, okay. I gave him 3 loaded italics. And I swear, he said, so what should I write? I said, well, you made it easy because you said your whole purpose would be to write formulas. So I think to audition, you should write formulas.
Do you have a particular italic nib, like size, that's your favorite? I know it matters.
No.
It's different for everybody.
No. Yeah, I do. This is close, and I'm being real sloppy. And I'm not good at talking
So what
about...
size is it?
Well, I don't do that very well, Brad, but you can do it. I, for a while, laboriously started measuring things so I could put it on my little label, and in millimeters, which doesn't come naturally to me, and then noticed the variation I got from different people who were each writing well with a pen, but got different widths. And I thought, oh, screw it. So what I do now is I do a relative thing, calling it fine, extra fine, medium or broad italic, hand ground. Mainly as a help to me, if I want to give somebody a pen now that goes up a notch or down a notch. But there are other things that affect. It's the balance and the grip and unconscious things they have about how the grip hits them. Some people wouldn't like this part.
And will it matter if
is,
they have block style printing versus cursive style printing, where you tend to sway them toward, put them in a different size?
It just depends. It depends on their scale.
Sure.
And what they're doing. What I love with this is I can write quite small, and it's neat. And if I'm taking notes, or if I'm maybe a little bit bigger if I'm doing block letters. But I like it for notes, and when I pretend I don't have much paper that I'm allowed to use.
Yeah.
And it keeps me neater.
All right, so I'm going to get you out of here.
Is that actually the standard para nib?
This is
hand ground.
This is definitely finer.
Okay.
Oh no, it's hand ground from testing. It's hand ground from a medium, but I told him I wanted. Actually, I had. It was either Bender or Masayama do it, and I said I wanted hardcore. I mean, I really razor.
Yeah.
And it's
all right. So when we get one more question, I'm gonna get you out on. I know.
Only one more?
I know. We gotta get back to the bar.
Oh
Yeah, we gotta get back to
Sorry.
Okay.
But have I been better?
Almost
I want to be better about the time. All right, go ahead.
Yeah, we're good. And you can this one you might want to spend some time on. I want to know.
And what are you using?
I'm using just a stock Japanese medium nib, but that's like super messy handwriting.
Oh, that's funny because you're writing as if you are accustomed to using an italic.
Well, that's my favorite. That's pretty much all I use.
It trains you and it gives you feedback.
That's pretty much all I use. I mean, probably 75% of my pens are italics.
They're just. One guy said, I don't have a lot of control over my writing. I'm like a car that goes all over the road. When I use an italic, it gives me traction. Now think about it. Traction is really great, both when you're writing and when you're walking. You don't want to have to be overly careful in a pair of shoes because you're afraid you're going to, their legs will slide out from under you. You don't want to have to be overly careful with a pen because you're afraid it's so smooth. You're afraid it's going to skitter, not skip, skitter, meaning slip on the paper. Anyway.
All right, so what I want to know, to get you out of here on, and you can go as long as you want this answer.
Right.
I want to know what's changed over the past few years from all the pen shows that you go to.
About the shows.
Yeah, about the shows that you have 15 or 20 years or more of shows that you've gone to, and in the last few years.
I'm just going to interrupt one time.
Yeah,
I've gotten this twice. Are you talking about italic or cursive italic?
Okay, I don't like the term cursive italic, and I understand why they use it.
I'm just getting it over and over.
No. I understand and I respect it. I think, again, cursive italic, I think, sort of nips at the heels of the italic, saying, "Oh, but you can't do it. We got to try an italic. You'll know when it's right." The one thing, there are some people. Okay, the one thing that's hard for me if somebody says, "I love this pen I got from you last year. I want 6 more just like it." I'm going, it's not going to happen. I'm sorry, I'm not that clinical, and I'm not going to be. However, you can try everything you want, so everything will be a little bit different. Cursive italic is already saying a regular hardcore italic is going to be too much for you. And you know what? You don't know that. I know I've seen a video by somebody who is extremely well known about nibs, and he takes a Pelican, he says it's some particular pen, and he says, now this is italic, and this is just too sharp, and he goes scritch, 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 and I'm thinking, my God, he's holding it wrong, and he knows it. So then he says, you see what you do, and then you. But I wish I should talk to him about that, because it made no sense to me, and he was. Don't worry about cursive italic. Start again. Try before you buy, and buy the one you try, as opposed to saying, oh, now we have another lovely one untouched in the box. No. Try the one you buy and buy the one you try, providing you love it. Don't worry about cursive italics. Cursive italics imply that there's something wrong with an italic. What was the question I was supposed to answer? Oh, how they changed.
Yeah.
Yes, okay.
I mean, if anyone can answer that question,
yeah,
it's you.
And I'm going to tell you.
Please.
There's one thing that's changed, and somehow you're part of it, which is really weird. And I mean, not weird, but interesting. And there's no way I'd say it unless I meant it. Okay. I have a guy he's in Christburg, a very bright kid. I call him a kid. He's probably 33 now. And he usually helps me with Northeast shows. My helpers are based partly on how wonderful they are and partly on geography. Anyway, so he used to love teasing me. He'd come up at the DC show, for example, he'd go, Susie, I found somebody else at the Penn show who's under 30. Isn't that wonderful? And I go, shut up, Ian. Anyway, so if he had been at the San Francisco, and that was the first time it really hit me. I should have realized that Atlanta in 2015, there was already something big going on. But I thought, well, okay, there is, but I don't completely understand. Anyway, so at San Francisco, 2015, he couldn't have made that joke. First of all, I had my third highest gross sales for a single day at a Penn show. All right, that was phenomenal. But secondly, and I've done more than 250 shows, but secondly, 80% of my sales were to people under 40. Wow.
And this is just last year.
Yeah, and a lot of things, you know, we all know things change and there are trends but this is like virtually overnight, and I'm still trying. Okay, for years the Penn shows would use a publicist, some Penn shows, and she was very, very good, and it related for the most part to newspapers. She did do radio and TV, but I always felt the newspaper was crucial. And I still think it's important. And it's being ignored. But the interesting thing is the rush of newer people going to Penn shows and younger people, it seems to be happening overnight. And and all of a sudden, I hate to divide things like vintage and new, or older people and newer people.
Yeah.
But we do kind of know what we mean.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about people over 60 versus people under 40 or people under 35, and that would, you know, those are more extreme. And this newer group, I don't want to say younger group, newer group is such a force. It's just amazing, and it's very interesting. And John in Atlanta 2015, we had a big day and a long day, and it was too hot in the room. And
yeah.
I'm up relaxing, and he said, now don't you see all those people downstairs? You got to go downstairs. And I go, oh God, I'm just so tired. And I wasn't prepared psychologically, you know. So this year I thought, well, okay. So I got my feet wet, and then all I did was talk too much, I'm afraid. But it's amazing, and it's exciting.
Mm.
And you know what? They're users. Son of a gun. They may like ink I don't believe in, but by golly, they're users. Bless their hearts. Because that's really what makes it exciting. Last thing I just wanted to visualize. Years ago, And I wish I had kept track of him. Let's say there are people and they're at the pen show and they've got all these overlays. They call it filigree
Sure.
pens, expensive, And a guy would go around with nobody brought ink. And nobody talked about ink. And there was a guy who'd go around with a glass of water and he's thinking of buying your pen that you've got for $1,000. And he hesitantly, could I just dip the pen in water? And they'd yell at him. And that was what made me think, like counter-programming, now you're going to have the news at 9 because everybody news. So I thought, well, what the hell? I'll bring ink. Nothing wrong with ink. So think of that extreme. You'd yell at somebody who's thinking of paying you $1,000 in 1983. You'd yell at him because he wanted to dip it in water, which is a pathetic test anyway. And now this whole thing is expanded, and users are what matters, and that is what, frankly, is so much better for pen collecting. Otherwise, we're going to be like a bunch of pocket watch collectors.
Yeah.
I mean, oh, they're great, but I don't use them. I mean, the poor little pen. It's meant to be used.
Well, cool. Well, I'm excited about this weekend, and I'm excited to have you on here.
Well, thank you.
And
I'm
we
honored.
thank Lisa for doing this.
Oh, I know. I think Lisa is wonderful for many reasons.
All right, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, bye
Thanks,
everyone.
Susan. Thank
Next time I'll
you.
use mine. I sit on the other side.
Yeah.
I think I remember my camera side.